Is a half trend better than a full trend? We find out today. It is the half trend indicator, traders, and this one's all over the place, but possibly in a good way. I kind of liken it to maybe like a wild horse, to where, again, they're all over the place, but if you can harness one and figure them out, you might really have something on your hands here. Let's move on. Before we start, understand that what we're talking about here might not make a lot of sense if you're new, but that's okay. If you like what we're doing, at least, go to nononsenseforex.com. Read that first page, watch that first video, and get started. I think you're going to like what you're going to see. For the rest of us, let's move on to the specs here. So this was created in 2014, which is well within the 1996 and on threshold we like to see here on the channel. The type is going to be a chart overlay. Haven't done one of these in a while, so we're excited to bring that to you at least. This is going to be a color change variety, so really nice and easy to read. And again, as an exit indicator for the second week in a row, I think there's something here possibly. Now understand, most of the time there's not going to be. All right, I'm sorry, that's just how these things work out. But we've had two in a row. Let's just savor the moment while we can and move on to the half trend indicator. So pretty easy to figure out, right? Once the color changes, that's when you make your move. It's kind of tough without my crosshair here, but I don't think you're going to enter the short on this candle right here, right as the color changes, right where the color change itself kind of hits the middle. You know, with this one, you're going to enter the candle after. That's when this thing's going to make its full color change. So that's going to be where you enter your short. Probably enter your long either here or here. Again, without my crosshair, it's tough to figure out. But that's what you're going to do. Don't make the rookie mistake of treating this like a moving average crossover and entering a short trade after it crosses and closes beyond the line. That's not what this is for. That's not what this does. Obviously, as you can see, once it did that, the color did not change and it went right back up. So you would really want to stick with the actual color above anything else. So pretty easy to see. I think this thing is pretty tight to price. You certainly are going to want to tweak this one, in my opinion. But let's get into what are going to be some very, very interesting results. Before we do that, understand, you need to test these yourself, especially something like this. It really comes down to how well it plays in your system. You know, we just put these things through the strategy tester, see what comes out, and if it's on the higher end of all the ones we test, then we show it to you. Pretty simple, just like that. Now what you're going to get in this video down below in the description is a link to the blog that shows you how to test these things yourself, which is very important, of course. You're going to see Dan's blog that really goes into the nuts and bolts of how this thing is created and how the settings are tweaked and things like that. Spoiler alert, this one is very easy to tweak. That's a good thing. And also a place to go download this yourself. And I probably need to add this to the slide at some point. But also, just like last week, Dan has created a secondary email address. If you want to submit any indicators you would like us to test and possibly profile on this show, feel free to do that. Understand that most of them are not going to make it. Either they're not really great indicators for what we do, or they're not going to test very high. You know, we are showing you the best of the best here as often as we possibly can. You know, if we can find one that's kind of interesting and kind of quirky and unique, sometimes we will show that in spite of maybe lower test results, but we try to keep a standard here on the show. So just understand, well, we welcome your submissions, but don't be upset if we don't actually use it on the show. Moving on from here, let us take a look at these results. On the euro dollar, not great, as you can see. But there's still a reason why we show this to you. Now, honestly, these results right here, from what I can remember, would actually be, after tweaks, a bit above average, especially with a really good win-loss ratio like that. So just to show you kind of where my line is, you know, this actually would be a little bit above that line, but it certainly isn't elite tier on the euro dollar. Let's move on to gold. quite the difference. No? I'm telling you, we've shown so many good indicators here when it comes to trading gold alone. If you are out there and you are not trading metals, I think you really need to. I've done a whole series on this. Even if you're American, there are ways to do this, even if you aren't allowed to trade CFDs. I think you're really missing out on opportunities. Now with this one, you're going to notice a common theme throughout this entire testing series. The total trades are going to be very low, especially after the tweaks. It's just one of these unfortunate things. It's one of these things that makes it. It's one of the things that makes this indicator so wild and all over the place. Is you're going to get really good results, but if gold is all you trade, you're going to be pretty bored. It's almost why I can see this performing maybe better as a secondary confirmation indicator, because those typically give you less trades anyway. I don't know. Again, I'm thinking of ways that I could try and corral a wild horse like this and use it to my advantage, but there's many ways to do that. Let's move on to the S&P. Again, not a lot of total trades, but a good win-loss ratio, which you typically see when you have lower trades like this because it's easier to accomplish. But this ROI is a really nice starting place on the daily. Maybe not so much on the 4-hour, but certainly on the daily. Let's go ahead and round it off with Bitcoin. 2 trades. Are you happy with that? No? Well, then just ignore all of this because it's not very useful in that particular application. But that was only after the tweaks that we did. Your tweaks may look different, You certainly don't want to do this on the default, but yeah, like I said, all over the damn place, and a much better result here if you trade the 4-hour, but I don't know if you're going to like 12 trades in 3 months either. I don't know, but there's redeeming qualities here for sure. So we wanted to show this to you. Even as an exit indicator, there's no way for us to really test that. Dan and I run 2 completely different systems, as do you. So it just depends on how it fits in. You have to test that yourself. But I do think there are exit indicator possibilities with this particular indicator as well. So do with this information what you will, and we will try to keep it a little more down the middle next time out. But subscribe, hit the bell. So much going on here. We have a trading psychology podcast every Monday, an investment podcast every Saturday, blogs every Thursday, and an indicator profile series every single Wednesday. Subscribe, hit the bell, don't miss a thing, and go get it.